Welcome. This is Crime Queen, and if you're joining us for the first time, this is the channel where we get excited about love. This is where we get excited about words and numbers, numerology to be precise. Okay, today, well, I shouldn't just say today in this presentation because I've been recording all day, so I'm saying today. But I have done presentations on numbers where I have done numerical values, say for instance on one, the word one. So the number words we see don't really hold the same numerical value as in a number. But I was very intrigued about that, and I had wondered for some time, why is it so? But of course, the wonderful book of wisdom, the Bible, the Holy Bible, has now been revealing certain things like, for instance, 1 equals 7. The word 1 equals 7. Now that makes sense now when we see 7 as the 7 days of creation, including the day of rest. That's 7, that totality. So it's like saying this is one unit. Then we also have 7 now as the for the numerical value for the word 7, that equals 2. That makes sense as well. So that makes sense where that comes to 2. So, and of course, when we do the numerical value for Eve, for instance, which equals 14, that would be showing that there are 2 aspects, 2 sevens in that Eve. Now, again, this is saying that Eve consists of 2 aspects to her, or 2, the 2 of creation, the 2 weeks or 2 of 7 days of creation constitute Eve. And this is just giving us a different light altogether. So when we add 14 together, that gives us 5. So of course we are doing numerical values from numbers 1 to 9, and Eve of course comes in the middle of that. So it's really wonderful that I have just concluded or ended a presentation that shows so beautifully, of course, where God says, I am the beginning and I am the end. Of course, there's Alpha and Omega as well, but let's stick to beginning and end. So we see the word beginning comes to the numerical value of 5, and also end comes to new. But of course, if we are dealing with numbers from 9 to 1 or 1 to 9, what happens here? Of course, if we speak of God, it would be right that we speak of Satan as well. This is what I had not been doing much of, I must confess. But I had done a numerical, in fact, I have done maybe 2 or 3 exercises on Satan, which constitute Job. So I am just revisiting that story of Job and Satan, or Job and man, if you like. So we see this is the template we are using in case you're new to this. We call this jazz. This is where we start our jazz when we are being childish and naughty or whatever it is. We are making new bonds here. We are forming new friendships. And this is where some people make very strong friendships from when they are 2. They would say to you, oh, this person and I, we've been friends from we were 2 years old, but something happened here. Or when we were 13, because 13 also constitute this here. In fact, when we do the numerical value for 2, that equals 13, which is the way. This is where Christ says, I am the way, the truth, and the light. So 2, just to remind myself here, so this is 6 and 5, 11 and 2, 13. So that's correct. So 13, which is why we are told, again, that is a very crucial stage of development at 13. And that is showing very demonstrative in this section. This is where we see that 13, when you go into puberty, this is the age, for instance, of puberty, then we see that reflects in the same in the Last Supper with Christ and the disciples. So we could see that there's a relation a relationship in that, or there is a connection, or we could say this is two sides of the same coin, because this is where Christ was making agreements with his disciples, saying, every time you do this, eat of the bread, break of the bread, and drink of the wine, remember me. There was a pact of being made there. There was an agreement made, and that's what people do in puberty. They start forming gangs, and they start forming groups, and there is the stage where they're exploring and wanting to. So a lot happens at that stage, and this is what a lot of people, of course, it is, let me just say, it is very vital that we open our eyes to this section. We teach our children about this section. In fact, part of me is just really wishing I knew this before, but perhaps I wouldn't have been here sitting doing this now. And but I'm just having to accept the reality. This has to be key. Although key is on the 5, key is here. Key is, this is the key. This is the lock that we are needing to penetrate through that lock, that chamber on that side. We have often been taught to go to the right, but we had not been taught how to do this. In fact, we have been taught how to go in cycles in this section, because we have been conditioned in this section to remain in this, to remain on the breasthead, the sac that that breastfed us in this section. The sac hair is denoting the breast. The sac hair is denoting the buttocks. The two things, or whatever it is that we get fed on in this section. That's the sac. It also, when we put it together, which is 3 and 1 and 1 is also equals to 5. So we may also, we could also say it supports the idea of Eve being in this section. This is Eve here in the sac. Yes, we could say that. But Eve has also gone on to getting her orientation here and opening her third eye here in this section. Her name was Eve from creation. We learn this. It's not because she has been there that she has remained there. She is also reflective all the way here in this whole sacrifice. E here and in N as well. So we see Eve is also here. We see Eve, the E in water, in the middle of waters, or not quite the middle, but it's here. We see E represented in the new hair. So E is really reflective in all areas, we could say. So there we are, wanting to become better beings and expressions of who we are. But to do that, it's vital that we understand where we're at, what has been going here with us, what that constitutes. When we revisit here, are we going back to see the same old friends that we made that pact with? And was it a positive agreement that we made here? Was it a good agreement, that something that would bring us onto this new path? Or do we just want to stay in that dimension where it may just be seen as food? But of course, there is a different kind of food that is being offered here in this section. It's new to our palate, it's new to our senses, it's new to our eyes. We can see that here. We can see here as well. This intuition is confirming to us, and it's as if it's there to guide us that you are going to be all right once you get into this section. It's saying, I am here, I am here. The I am here, there you may be also. So the you, for instance, is 7. You equals 7, so you are here as well. It's like my presentations. Where are you? You know, you are looking for the W that says you are here, where you saying where, you know. So we could say HERE. We have HE and we have RE. So we are going in these sections here, finding our orientation. So I'm hoping that that is, enlightening to our path. Of course, it's with Eve is there showing us and being with us. Okay, and of course the Christ Spirit. But I would like to use the next couple minutes to really remind ourselves that there is that 13 here, which is 1 and 3. The 3 is the softness, that the gentleness, that persuasiveness, if you like. You know, it can be used either way. You know, it is the worm, because the worm goes down to the ground and it rises up again. And this is what Christ was saying, I am a worm, because there is the understanding he would go down into the pit, be buried, and rise up again. That is one way of seeing it. And it says, despised by many, by the people. He was despised by the people because people despise a worm. Some people even despise those who resurrect from something. It's like some people even like they don't like to know that you win or you conquer or you have achieved, you know, because it makes them see themselves in a better light, which actually they are in no better light, because the mere fact that you have risen from the dead or the grave does not change their position. They have to change their perception of that position, and then of course they change. So basically we are seeing when Christ said, I am a worm despised by many. But of course when we look at a worm and a woman, we could say it's the same. The woman, of course, can go through lengths, you know, to really, of course, and that's why women are used to seduce other people or other men. Women are used, or women naturally seduce men, or are used as bait, you know. And so we can see that they are able to go through dimensions and areas that men would not ordinarily do. Although it's not saying men are not shrewd, of course, because we are all have this makeup of male and female, but we are just saying that with the female, if you like, whether we have been conditioned as such to perform such persuasive act, and of course there's the breast that women breastfeed and nourish their child or adults with. So those things are always used. So this is where that B section comes in. This is what happens there. This is the bread. This is what nourishes. This is what gives life. And as I have showed as well, that life also comes into that dimension as well with the 13. I have done one of the where two, we could see where two, because this is what it said, where two shall come together, there I am. It's the I am in the midst of it all. So the I am, the I am is in the midst of it all. So basically here, let's be fair, it's like saying Eve really is capable of being anywhere. Eve is there everywhere that there is an agreement. You could say Eve is there, but likewise it's the Spirit of Christ. It doesn't leave you. It is there with you. So at the moment of a decision to say you are moving over to the right and you are doing a new thing, Eve is there with you. It's like saying, thou good and faithful servant, in you I am well pleased. That sort of word. You know, okay, I'm glad, my child, you have now seen the light. Okay, so we'll just it's on 14, talking of Eve on 14 minutes. So I will leave this presentation here, and of course move over to the right. I hope you have found this beneficial. I hope you have found this fun, and if you have, click like and share, because this is how we do it. We share to actualize in self-full love. Okay, in the meantime, stay blessed, stay bright, and be blissful, because we are moving over to the right. Okay, and let's be a field, because we are planting new seeds. I am loving this. I am just so excited about this journey, because there's a newness. I mean, I am resolving things with Mother Eve, and it's just really wonderful. Of course, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so namaste, and thank you for watching, and spill over with love.